Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Hit the like button if you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, remember to hit that bell for notifications for when we drop new videos. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Boogeyman Radio. I am David.
I'm Charlie.
And tonight we are going fishing. Fishing at the Cecil Hotel. A lot of mystery surrounding this place, a lot of death. And tonight we're going to kind of go over some of that with you guys and give our takes.
Go figure, right?
Getting notifications now.
Just gonna turn that off. In the hour prep that we did before, got nothing. No sound on my phone. Nothing. 2 minutes in, do. Like
they know you're on. They're watching.
Yep, that's it. That's the one. They know I'm watching. They know.
I'm gonna turn on a backlight. I'm gonna turn on my backlight so I don't have a half a head.
Probably a good idea. The top of his head's floating.
I'm a floating head.
Oh my goodness! Look at the guitar back there. Looks nice.
Does it?
Even though I only see, the top.
The headstock. There you go. Look at that. Woo!
Oh man! Oh, getting real excited.
How was your weekend?
It was really good, man. Things have kind of been a little crazy for me, but that's okay.
In a good way, though.
Yeah, in a good way. I guess it's better than to not be crazy, right? Like,
yeah,
maybe.
I guess maybe depends on the crazy.
Yes, well, things are happening in life. I'll just say that. Like nothing super exciting, but just.
You finally get your pubes?
Totally. Yeah, that's nice. The one I was. 28 years later, I'm a really late bloomer. That's what it is. Now, how about you? How was your weekend?
Exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
tell. Since Sunday morning, I've had 5 hours sleep, so you guys are in for a treat here. Went out and started working on the Evil in Elkland movie.
Nice.
Doing some filming. The videos that I shot some B-roll. The B-roll turned out pretty nice.
Okay.
For as little as I got, I was supposed to meet a contact out in Oakland, and we were going to talk about some things, and then she was going to take me to meet another person who's a big part of this, who like their story is going to be kind of a big part of this. Couldn't get a hold of the contact and never heard from her or anything until last night, and it was a little too late. And I'm like, I guess we'll have to meet up again some another day.
Gosh darn it!
Yeah, so
gotta take another trip out there. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna make a few out there anyway, but it's just gonna take some time for each time.
Yeah, of course.
But I did make some really cool discoveries, and I went to the next town over because that's where a lot of records and stuff were kept, and talked to the people at the courthouse and got some names and numbers. And
nice.
Yeah, I'm going to have to contact some people to get some files released.
Like to get the official release statements and stuff like that, or like
Well, it's odd that like Marshfield is a town that's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from Elkland.
Yeah.
They're not the ones that responded to the crime scene. It was the highway patrol that handled it. Yeah, which it's odd to me, but I mean, it is what it is.
I guess, like, even though I feel like if that town doesn't have
Riley,
if that town doesn't have a law enforcement, which I mean, technically it didn't have law enforcement, right?
No, it's a small town. It's a small farming town.
So then, wouldn't the next one be the highway patrol, not necessarily the
next town over?
What about county? Why didn't county get involved? Huh?
I don't know. But did see some cool stuff there at the courthouse. They had a bunch of articles plastered up on the walls of like its history and everything. But
nice.
what was neat was right next to some of the articles about the murders were articles about UFO sightings and Bigfoot sightings.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of peculiar. I thought that was peculiar. So
that is pretty cool.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. There's like, shoot, even where I come from, there was tons of like weird UFO cow linked sightings. Yeah. Seeing weird out in fields and then wake up the next day and look, cow's mutilated.
Yeah, well, one of them was a cattle mutilation thing. Article. Yeah, pretty cool.
Go figure.
So, my hat's crooked. So I'm going to have to wait a little while to hear back from them about what I can and cannot get, and just kind of go from there. But it was good. It was a good first step towards the filming.
Did you drive by where it happened? Did you drive by did you check it out?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Guess we're gonna have to wait for the documentary to find out.
Yeah, it's gonna be like about 6 months.
Now, quick question: is there anybody living on that property today that you know of?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Haven't made it that far yet. Got it.
Well, I know in one of the locations somebody does live there.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So, but yeah, I did visit the cemeteries and their burials. And all
are they all like right next to each other? Even the son that killed everybody?
Yeah, they're all there.
That just seems like something you wouldn't want to do, you know?
Right.
Like,
well, crazy thing. I stumbled upon another video. It was their funeral, basically.
Okay.
And they had 34 pallbearers, and over 200 people showed up for their funeral.
My gosh.
Burial, yeah. The whole town pretty much showed up.
Surrounding town folk and then whoever.
Yep.
That's nuts. Well, I can't wait to see the documentary and hear more about it.
Yep. So, yeah, guys, tonight we are here to talk about the Cecil Hotel, talk about its mysteries and everything. So let's not hold back anymore, shall we? And just kind of jump right into this. Yeah. And if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to throw them up there. We also will respond to you guys. We are an interactive podcast here. Mm-hmm. So let's introduce the history of the Cecil. So to begin, let's start with construction. It took 3 years of construction for the Cecil Hotel to be finally opened in downtown Los Angeles. It was decked out with lavish marble lobby. It was built with the intention of being a comfortable and polished spot for business travelers and Hollywood tourists to enjoy. The United States, however, entered into the Great Depression 2 years later. Some have attributed the tragedies prompted by the Depression, along with the Cecil's proximity to the Skid Row area, which the term is, according to the Skid Row Housing Trust, originated during the construction of the railroads in the mid-1800s, to the hotel becoming a spot for violence and crime activity, basically. Mm. So the hotel opens up, and just only a few years later, I guess it only took like 3 years, 4 years.
Didn't take long.
Before its first documented death had occurred at the Cecil Hotel. And that first reported death was on November 19th of 1931 when a man committed suicide. And he was the first of over a dozen deaths, suicides, overdoses, and murders. So over time, the building was upstaged by nicer hotels in the other parts of town. This was just a place where people who were really down on their luck were going. Um, Eventually, the hotel transitioned to a single room occupancy operation, and long term residents, like long term tenants, they could rent their own rooms and share bathrooms with other residents. And from what I gathered, I guess like a certain levels of the hotel, like I think it was like after the sixth floor was where the residents really started, like were given to stay, and then like if you were staying at the hotel, you'd stay at the bottom or some of the rooms above, which was kind of cool, I guess. I know a lot of hotels nowadays they do allow residency, which, so I mean it's not an uncommon thing, it's not unheard of.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of deaths and a lot of infamous people that came through there. I'll let you take it away.
So when it comes to the serial killers in the hotel, there were two. One of the serial killers, I would say probably the most famous one, but I wouldn't say.
Oops, sorry.
It's all good. I would say the most famous one that comes out of there that you would hear the most would be the Night Stalker, who was Richard Ramirez. He killed at least 13 women while staying there. Mind you, this place was really run down the time he got into the hotel. It's in the area that they refer to as like Skid Row. So that hotel seen a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of.
It seemed like it was destined for this.
Savory. Oh yeah, absolutely. Saw a lot of very unsavory characters. It basically be a nightly thing where some sort of crime would happen at the hotel. Like that's how it was. But Ramirez was so open about things. Like he didn't try to hide like his weirdness. There was actually a reported incident where he discarded bloody clothes inside of a dumpster outside of the hotel, which was from one of his murders. And then he just walked back inside butt naked, just full on. And everybody's just like, nope, didn't see nothing. We're just gonna go about our day. Like,
well, they probably didn't see him discard the bloody clothes. They probably just saw a naked man coming through their lobby and they're like, oh, damn.
I don't understand. He was still covered in blood. Thanks.
Was
good
it,
to
though?
see you, Cassie. Yeah. Like it. They say that Ramirez sometimes seen covered in blood, but the Cecil Hotel was the kind of place where no one spoke about it. So
that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, right. And then the second serial killer that checked in was Jack Underweger, who was Underweger, who was an Australian journalist who had already done time in his home country for murder. He had just gotten out of jail the year before and had most likely started killing again. That's just the kind of person this guy was. Australian authorities suspected him, so he fled to California and posted up at the Cecil Hotel, claiming he was working on a magazine about the city's red light district. He killed 3 sex workers during his stay, and he was eventually arrested in Miami. Then they extradited him to Australia, where he was convicted for 9 other murders. Yeah. Damn. And then he decided to hang himself with shoelaces in a cell in 1994. So there's a lot of crazy negativity with this place, whether it be people killing themselves, murder, rape, just horrible. Like this, the case of this lady, really, from what I hear, she was a really nice old lady. Which one was it? It was Pigeon Goldie Osgood was her name.
Right.
She was 65 years old. And a little description I hear about her is: a hotel worker discovered Osgood, a retired telephone operator, dead in her room. She had been raped, stabbed, beaten, and the room was ransacked. Osgood was well known around the area and had earned her name because she fed birds in the nearby Pershing Square. Near her body was the Los Angeles Dodgers cap she always wore and a paper sack full of birdseed. Hours after her murder, Eilinger was seen walking through Pershing Square in blood-stained clothing. He was arrested and charged with Osgood's murder, but was later cleared of the crime. The murder remains unsolved. Friggin' nuts. Like, I can't believe they had it, like, right there, ready to go, and just nothing. Like, and then so, side note, going back to the killers, I just want to talk about that piece a little bit.
Yeah.
They actually have an interview in the documentary, or like so the documentary that came out about the Cecil Hotel on Netflix. A lot of people have very mixed feelings with it. They say that they got some stuff wrong, but they came out with more stuff. So it was just, I don't really know who to go with because I haven't watched it yet. But I know they talk about Ramirez and like his gruesome murders and stuff like that. And when you look at his like facial expressions during his like prison interviews and sentencing and stuff, dude has no remorse. No remorse, whatever. He actually didn't refer to himself as like a serial killer. Like he didn't claim he was a serial killer, nothing like that. He actually he was trying to say that there was a difference. Yeah, and then his Satanist thing in his hand. Pentagram. Yeah, his pentagram. Like he worshiped Satan. Like that just, but he didn't really want to talk about it in the interview as much. Let's see here. Oh gosh.
You know, it kind of makes sense that a Satanist would be drawn to that kind of a place, you know, after all the reported deaths and the location of it, you know.
Oh, yeah. I just don't understand how people can do stuff like that. I mean, you know, this hotel, I would have to say I would say it is the inspiration for the American Horror Story hotel story.
It is.
Like, it's so much. I watched that. It's good gracious. It's messed up. Like that show's good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They just take it to a whole new level with TV.
Yeah. And if I was a serial killer, I mean, a hotel's typically going to be like a pretty good, like, I don't want to say cover, but like a good place to be hiding out.
We can just rent a room.
A larger one like this. Yeah. I think there was 301 rooms that were for residents. And then there was like 299, I think, for just the hotel for checking out guests and stuff like that. For guest staying. So I mean, that's a lot of rooms to keep track of. And I mean, if you're wanted or you know for something like murder or something,
I
don't think they're really going to notice like you coming and going with as much traffic as they would get.
No, and then like the thing about this guy is the reason why he got his nickname, the Night Stalker, is he would go out at night and literally peep on these people and like he would stalk these people like it was nothing. He'd hide in the bushes. He'd wait till they go to sleep, and he'd come in and pretty much have his way, like right there, right then. It's just like this dude was nuts. This like he had no remorse, no nothing, just complete like, yeah, I recognize there was evil in the world and I'm a part of that basically. Like, dude, he knew that he was more than horrible, I guess.
Yeah. But
no,
now, and aside from like Ramirez here, and Gunther, some of this like the suicides are even kind of messed up too.
Yeah, like some of them are they truly suicides?
Well, there's the case of Pauline Otten who jumped from this was messed up just because of how it ended.
Yeah.
In 1962, Pauline jumped from the 7th-story window and landed on a pedestrian below, killing them both. So, like,
unfortunate timing.
Yeah. So, like, imagine being that guy and just, I mean, people talk about the Crescent or the Cecil Hotel being haunted. I mean, couldn't it would make sense that if this guy is hit out of nowhere, didn't even know it, and just all of a sudden he's dead. I mean, the confusion.
Oh yeah.
that would cause somebody to stay around because they didn't know they're dead, or
they
they're
just
like,
literally were taken out. Like,
yeah, they're confused. Like, what the hell happened?
Like
what?
You just got hit by a full-on grown person falling from the sky, and
yeah,
you will die.
Or maybe they had some consciousness and they saw the bodies and they're like, "What the hell?"
Right.
And they're so taken back by it, they just like missed their window to.
Wouldn't that be a crazy way to go? Like, well, this is your time to go. Just death by falling person. Not only see, and that's what they say, people. You don't want to commit suicide because your actions can affect other people in ways you don't know. Especially to take this case. Good gracious.
Not just emotionally, but physically, you could really F somebody up.
Oh yeah. You could accidentally kill somebody, So dude, would that technically be a murder then? Like
technically
or
manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
Maybe she jumped out the window doing an elbow drop.
Oh man, was that the world's largest elbow drop?
Dude,
I would say so.
Sounds like it.
Oh gosh,
pretty effective.
That is quite effective. That is very effective.
Oh yeah.
She's like, I'm done with everything. Let's do an elbow drop off. How did they say what floor it was?
By chance? I think it was the 7th floor.
7th floor. Okay, so it still wasn't like the highest floor.
No, not the highest floor, but still pretty high up there. Then there was like the first one. It was the first reported suicide. Was W.K. Norton. Said he was missing from his home.
Really? Wait, which one?
W.K. Norton.
First one I see is Percy Orman Cook at 52. And this was in 1927.
Could be. This one was saying that it's one of the earliest, or the earliest.
Huh.
But this guy, he was missing from his home in Manhattan Beach for like a week, and he was only 46 years old. But they found him dead in the hotel room. And when they found him, there was a number of capsules that contained poison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they said that they were found in his vest pocket.
Wow. Okay, sorry. I figured out the reason why Percy Orman Cook was technically not the first. So it was technically the first suicide, but he didn't die in the hotel. He actually died at the hospital. This is the first suicide found
at the hotel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
So he had been dead only a few hours when he was found by a maid.
Gosh.
There were several checks made out to Mrs. Norton, found in his clothing. I guess they were there to help identify him. That's what the police report was saying. The
connection.
They felt the checks that were made out to his wife were to identify him as Norton. So,
jeez, man, see. Okay, here's my thing about back then, early 1900s, the ways to solve murder still wasn't the greatest.
No.
So if someone died with a gunshot wound, or like one of the other ones that was suicide was a slit throat.
You mean in the 1930s, not 1300s, right?
Did I say 1900s?
You said 1300s.
Wow, I meant to say 1900s. Wow, I'm sorry. Yeah, like in the early 1900s, I'm just saying, if someone wanted to off somebody, they could make it look like a suicide pretty easily back in that time.
Well, technologically and logically, we weren't that far advanced from the times of H.H. Holmes.
You're right, exactly. I agree.
Leading into the Great Depression. I mean, their investigation-wise, what year was the FBI even founded? Wasn't it like in the 1930s, 1940s?
No idea.
Something like that?
No idea.
About the time John Dillinger was running around.
Okay, that's fair.
Dillinger was basically the reason why they even formed the FBI.
Well, yeah, because didn't they, in the H.H. Holmes, they had the Pinkertons.
Yeah.
They had the private Pinkerton which, I mean, they did a great job, obviously. But it was just yes, eventually they were able to deduct it because Holmes got sloppy and stuff like that. But I feel like at this time, if you could just make it look like a suicide, and, oh, look, it was a suicide. They didn't really question it, but especially if because they did they have fingerprint technology at this time yet? Yeah.
So in the 30s?
Yeah.
I think newer techniques were being utilized like that.
Okay.
I think it was just kind of starting.
Okay, well then maybe they were able to do it, but I mean, if someone was smart enough and was used to doing this, it for all you know, it could have been a serial killer throughout the 1930s at this hotel.
They didn't know with the evolution of crime scene investigation. Think of it like the paranormal field, how everything's like
a
lot of investigators, they don't have a set like format or formula to their investigations. Like they may not go check for EMF to see the highs and lows and where the hot spots are.
True.
1908. Okay. Thank you, Josh.
1908. Okay.
But like with all these techniques and everything, a lot of it's still fresh for people. And even like with paranormal investigating, people don't follow or if they have like set techniques, they'll forget steps that they usually take.
True.
Here and there. It happens. There was some like even with I'll say like with the Elkland thing that I'm filming, there were some missteps in the whole process, which led to some things. But you guys can find that out later.
I mean, and I'm sure the media has to do with a lot of could have had to do with a lot of interrupted stuff because we talked about that with the JFK stuff.
Yeah,
the media actually was very heavily present in the hospital rooms that his body was on, so it was harder for the doctors to concentrate and the investigators to really do the proper work.
And the media will rush stories out just to be the first.
Without
like you look at really presidential elections.
Anything. Yep, absolutely.
They print up two different copies of their newspaper saying such and such one or saying such and such one.
Truman is the best example of that.
Yeah,
holding up the Ducey defeats Truman or something like that newspaper. That was good idea. Good idea.
So I mean, yeah, obviously media is going to affect that outcomes of investigations,
right?
Or even just the way they're done. I was just going to say just the way they're performed.
Yeah, but by this time, like the 1930s, it wasn't really a rundown hotel yet.
No,
it was still nice.
Fresh. But then again, they did just get they built and opened right as the Great Depression hit, basically. Yeah. So,
I mean,
I'm sure it took a hit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it did too. But it's still it's crazy, but it's not crazy to think about all these people committing suicides at this one place since it became the Suicide Hotel. Where nowadays, or we've had it for a while now, you've got the Suicide Forest in Japan. I can never think of the name, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's got some mystical occulty stuff tied to it now.
Hibachi Forest, I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
So, so going with mystique, one of with the Cecil Hotel, I think this is kind of an underrated bit of information about the Cecil was that Elizabeth Short,
yes,
who people might know as the Black Dahlia, was rumored to have been seen at the bar of the Cecil Hotel just days before her murder.
Yep.
Or actually probably just days before she was found.
Yeah.
And her death was pretty damn gruesome, especially for the time and era.
Yeah, let's see here. I actually have details of that I was going to talk about too.
Yeah.
The crime scene was actually pretty horrific, and I'm getting.
I thought about showing pictures.
Oh gosh, get us striked. So the crime scene, and I'm getting from my getting my information from the Grunge. The Black Dahlia captured the nation's imagination from the first time headlines advertised the ghastly, grisly nature of the crime. But it was even worse, the headlines proclaimed. The actual cause of her death was determined to be a blow to the head. There were also signs that her skull had rebounded off something hard when she was struck. There was at least one grotesque bit of mutilation that had been done before she was killed. Based on the bruising and damage of her face, her cheeks were cut into a so-called Glasgow smile. So basically,
why so serious?
Exactly. The rest happened after her death. Her right breast was removed. Her lady parts was covered with a series of lacerations, and she was completely scrubbed free of blood. What? With brushes. Like they did it with several bristles from the brush were recovered. So it was a wire brush that just, yeah. The Washington Post adds that the body had been posed, stretched out on the ground, and there were signs of sodomy. She had a tattoo of a rose on her thigh, which had been sliced off and placed inside of her. Ugh. It's possible, but still debated, that the last reliable sighting of her was a full 6 days before her body was discovered, making it possible, but lightly debated, that she had been kidnapped and then.
I think
also. What?
I was gonna say, I think maybe she met with somebody.
I do too. Maybe she was like going out. Yeah, going out doing her thing, and then, and according to the autopsy report, her stomach was also filled with feces.
That makes me think of, I don't know. It just made me think of the movie Seven.
Never seen it.
With Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman.
Nope, never seen it.
Dude, do yourself a favor. That is an amazing film.
I don't know if I want to like watch a movie that, just.
It's about a serial killer killing people to the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, interestingly enough. Okay, so here's another section of the article. It says media and press interference was bad, very bad. I'll go ahead and talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
But I will 7. Just the number 7 or word spelled out 7.
It's the word, and then it's got the check mark or the marks.
Oh, okay, interesting. I like where that's going. All right. So as the article goes on, it was the editor of the Los Angeles Examiner who first reached out to the FBI to give the heads up. So yeah, the FBI was definitely involved in this case. They were going to be asked to help with the case. The feds were already seeing huge problems, starting with the fact that by the time law enforcement got to the crime scene, reporters had already been there, documented the entire thing, and picked up evidence. Idiots. Freaking idiots. One FBI memo says, throughout the entire investigation, reporters have talked to witnesses and published facts which were bound to hinder the investigation of the local department. It also says reporters had set up in the headquarters of law enforcement, and there was no such thing as confidential phone conversation or piece of evidence that they didn't see first, or at least second. Even worse, the BBC says reporters had gotten wind of the victim's identity before her family had been notified. The Los Angeles Examiner got in touch with her mother, told her that her daughter had won a beauty contest, and they wanted to talk to her. So they flew her to LA to tell her what had really happened, all to get an exclusive interview with the response. Incredibly, that level of interference still happens today. Deadline reported media got a head start on the law enforcement when it came out the San Bernardino shooter getting invited to suspects' apartments by the landlord. Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
like, I don't.
Where is the morality?
There's none.
People, I mean,
there's none. Like, I just don't. I don't understand. There's so
insane.
Yeah, right. Pretty bad. Then another article actually another section of this article goes on and says, one detective believes his father was the Black Dahlia's killer.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to talk about that real quick, too. Officially, Elizabeth Short's murder remains unsolved, but there's one man, retired homicide detective Steve Hotel, who believes he knows exactly who killed her, his own father, George Hotel. According to the hotel, The Guardian, it wasn't long after his father's death in 1999 that he'd found himself going through his dad's personal belongings. Among the photos in a small album were 2 that looked exactly like Elizabeth Short. It was enough to get him to look into any connection the elder Hotel might have had with her, and it opened up a rabbit hole of dark history filled with tons of evidence no one has been able to disprove, and that has, in fact, gotten attention of the active law enforcement. It's almost kind of similar with the Mudgett case.
Yeah,
like this kind of like he found some stuff, and then he went down a rabbit hole trying to figure out if the connections were there. And so far, all the stuff that he has found has not been disproven.
Yeah,
like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So the LAPD was taunted by letters from the killer. Handwriting experts say the contents bear a striking similarity to George's handwriting. Among the documents for construction on his home are receipts for bags of concrete, the same brand and size recovered from near the body, thought to be now the killer got her to the dump site. He attended medical school at the same time they were teaching him. Oh gosh, hemicorpectomy. Hemicorpectomy. I just can't say it.
Have a drink and then
whatever. Exactly.
Have
and that's just the starters. And mind you, these her not disembowelment, but the procedure done on her abdomen and like how she was split open was actually determined a medical like style procedure. So it's just like,
well, he even removed a titty, didn't he?
No, he didn't remove any body parts. He just
I thought he like removed like the nipple or something like the areola.
No, he removed the tattoo. He removed her tattoo and put it inside of her.
That's weird.
Right? Like, don't need it on the outside, put it back inside. Like, can't let everybody see it. I don't know. So the LAPD, nope, got already at that. Hodel presented all the evidence he collected after 2 years of the researching to an acquaintance in the LA County District Attorney's Office, getting a response that yes, there was enough charges to be filed if he were still alive. And Hodel released a book detailing what he discovered. It fell into the hands of the Los Angeles Times, who were able to get more information from the district attorney, and that's when they found that George Hodel was indeed one of the 6 suspects the department had honed in on all the years ago. That's pretty cool. And they had some eerie but inconclusive evidence, including taped telephone conversations where a woman is suddenly heard screaming in the background, and another where George says, "Supposin' I'd kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead." George Hodel was just a regular old anybody, Vandy Fair called him, the most pathologically decadent man in Los Angeles. A doctor who specialized in treating venereal disease among an A-list crowd. His daughter, Tamar, one of the children with 5 different women, accused her father of sexual abuse from the time she was 11, and of making her pose nude for artist friends that included Man Ray. George Hodel was arrested in 1949 on incest charges, but he was acquitted.
Man, I think we need to maybe do an entire show about the Black Dahlia murder.
I know, because I'm just like, I'm really
finding more.
This, aren't I?
I know you're getting a little too into it. Let's rope you back in here.
I'm just saying, there's like, I'm not gonna read all the articles just yet, but I'm gonna read you just some of the headlines. It says links to the Chop Chop ladies. And then the next one that says the Dahlia murder may have had a terrifying connection to Man Ray. The LAPD was reluctant to suggest the Black Dahlia was murdered by a serial killer, but there were accusations that the cops let the Black Dahlia killer go. Like, there's just
maybe we should cover that one.
And then there were a shocking number of confessions to the Black Dahlia's murder, which I'm not surprised people did that, but I don't know. It's just interesting. It's very interesting stuff.
So, which it's kind of fascinating that one of the more well-known cases of a murder just happened to have this connection to the Cecil Hotel. Like, this place has started becoming known for death and violence and mystery like that. But on the mysterious side, I think the biggest piece of information or story is the death of Elisa Lam. And that one, I mean, you talk about a rabbit hole. We'll go down a rabbit hole.
I'm down. Let's do it.
So if you don't know, on January...
put your aluminum caps on, guys.
So on January 26, 2013, 21-year-old Canadian student Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel. She was originally staying in hostel-style accommodations with other roommates. But when the hotel began getting complaints, she was moved into a room by herself. On January 31st, Elisa was declared missing. 3 weeks later, On February 19th, guests began complaining about the low water pressure, and the taste of the water in their rooms. Shortly after, Elisa's body was found floating inside a closed water tank that was on the hotel's roof.
Don't forget to mention. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Her clothes were at the bottom. The coroner declared the death an accidental drowning. Additionally, the autopsy stated that no drugs or alcohol were found in her system, and there were no signs of trauma.
Yep. Interesting.
Now, what's gotten everybody's fascination about this is the surveillance video. A surveillance video of Elisa became an integral part of the case. Wearing a red hoodie and black shorts, she stepped into an elevator and began pressing random buttons. Elisa then goes in and out of the elevator, appearing to hide from somebody, and later on, it looks like she's speaking to them. But still, many people aren't sure what happened to Elisa. After the footage surfaced, several questions were asked. How did she get on the locked roof without triggering the emergency alarm? Because we all know, like in a hotel, if you go out like an emergency exit, they'll sound an alarm unless you have a key or the alarm shut off. How did she get into the water tank? Because they said the lid was super heavy. And then how did the water tank lid close after she got in? So I want to show, for those of you that are not familiar with the Elisa Lam story, I'm going to play you guys the video, the surveillance video of the elevator. It's about a 5-minute clip. You'll get to see her behavior, which is pretty disturbing. And I think what we can do is, while we're watching it, we can make comments and stuff like that if we want to point out certain aspects.
Yeah.
That way it's not just like this silent video.
Right.
So let me look at these comments here.
It's interesting. Dude, right? I was thinking the exact same thing, Kelly. How horrible would that be? You're drinking water for like a straight week. You're like, man, this tastes funny, right? Like, you guys notice there's something wrong with this water?
And there's a funny connection. Well, it's not funny, but peculiar connection to this and an actual movie called Dark Water. You guys should really check that out because it's basically the Elisa Lam story before Elisa Lam happened.
Nope. No thanks.
The movie is basically about this family checks into the hotel. This elevator is haunted by this Japanese girl or this Asian girl. They find this body in the water tank on the roof of this hotel after everybody's been drinking this gray water.
Drinking/taking showers.
Yeah.
I'm sure like bathing in it. Nope.
Have you seen the interviews? People giving like interviews before they found out about the body being in the thing?
No.
These people are complaining about the water and everything. And like I'm staring at somebody that drank Elisa Lam's life.
Wouldn't that be like, very hazardous to one's health?
Yes. I would assume.
Like, wouldn't you become like violently ill? Probably.
I at least have a run.
Like, man, this water tastes great. Like,
right? Add some Mio to this.
Right. Like, this has got some great protein value to it. What are you guys doing to your water system? I don't. Oh God. Is this sparkling mineral water or what is this?
You guys adding soap into the water?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's a good little bubbly, and I'm getting a good lather.
So with that being said, though, was like, okay, and does the water not like bring the blood out or anything? Like, I don't know how all that works. I don't really know how body like.
Well, the
water
since there was no trauma, to her body, after you die, your body will bloat.
Oh, that's fair because the water does. Okay.
Your body, well, even outside of the water, your body,
sure it would,
if left untreated, your body will bloat. You look at like deers that have been hit by cars on the side of the road, you see them bloat up.
But since there was no injury / wounds, there was no way for the blood to come out of the skin.
And the first thing that would happen would be excrement. You would poop and pee.
Yeah, that's the one thing that nobody likes to talk about with death.
Which would go into the water first.
Yeah.
And then if she bloated enough to where like she popped.
Oh gosh, that would be horrible, man.
Yeah.
That would be horrible.
That's why they tell you, like, if anybody that deer hunts, after you kill the deer, you want to gut the deer,
like immediately,
as soon as you can, like within 15 minutes if you can, preferably because what happens is like the fluids and stuff gets mixed with the bloodstream and it poisons the blood and then taints the meat. You can't eat the deer.
That makes sense because it's not all flowing anymore.
Yeah, good information.
The oil of our body just stops
and the reason I brought up the soap is because like rendered fat.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. So, but I feel like with the smells of the bodily excrement would probably get me first.
Maybe that's a big water tank.
Well, I was gonna say, was the water tank before or after the filtration? That's the question. Right? Like, as I don't think they talk about
it. They just like the filtration will catch the chunks.
Yeah. But it's like
chunks of poo.
Like, is the water filtrated before and then it's stored in the tanks? Or is the water stored in the tanks and then filtrated on its way to...
I have no idea.
Like, questions. Man. Either way, that's messed up.
Yeah. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to watch the video. We'll comment on there. And then we'll go further into this particular case. So without further ado, you know what I should just do?
What?
So we can be on the screen with it commenting.
Yeah.
Is just open the video file. I'm a dummy head instead of uploading it. That's right. I admit it. I'm a dummy head. Okay. What, Charles? What were you going to say?
Nothing. I'm going to say nothing.
All right, here we go. So the elevator opens. Mi casa, su casa.
There's literally no audio to this.
See how she,
what is she doing? Is she just like bending down looking at each number? Like,
yeah, well, she's pushing random numbers. 3, like 4. She just went down a line.
Yeah. Maybe
and the elevator doors don't close. She doesn't look like she's in a hurry.
No, she doesn't look like she's in a hurry at all.
Until this point.
Yeah, when she looks in, was she looking for somebody?
Somebody following her, and then she's hiding.
She's in the wall. Yep. Do you think she's trying to see down that edge of the hallway by looking that way? She's trying to look through.
Maybe.
And then she looks at the other side.
But she keeps looking off that way.
Yeah. She was looking when she was leaned up against where the numbers were. It looked like she was trying to peek through to that side, like to the left, but she couldn't see it. Whatever she was looking for. Did she just like do a little hop jump?
That looks playful to me.
Yeah.
But then it gets weird, like certain points of this.
Yeah.
Because, they say that she was playing like the elevator game, and we'll talk about the elevator game here in a little bit. But outside of the elevator game, there's a point where she's like, it looks like she's feeling around, and some people are like, oh, she must have been possessed or something. But that's not the behavior of a possessed person right there, hopping around and like moving playfully, Yeah,
it was weird. It's like she's playing a game of hide and seek. And then now what is she doing?
Now she looks like she's kind of freaked out or something, like pushing random buttons.
Yeah, now she's pushing literally every single one repeatedly.
To me, this looks like she doesn't know that you can just push the door close button to close the doors, and she's just trying to get it to go or move or do something.
Right, but the way she's doing it, I've never seen anybody go up to elevator buttons and go, like, she just doesn't seem like she's right in the head, maybe. Like,
and the way she
looks like she's
putting out her hands. Maybe she's tripping.
Maybe, man. I mean,
but they said there was no drugs in her system.
True. Maybe she's talking to somebody right there. She's using her fingers. Like,
why does that look like sign language?
I'm thinking she's doing this, and like maybe she's like da 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 talking about something. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
very weird. Like she's not even push all these random buttons. Like, I also kind of like, to me, I find it interesting that the door's still open.
Yeah, it's like the elevator was shut down or something. Like,
overload, can't compute. I don't know. That's just. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Finally, I'm like, geez, man, take forever.
It's like somebody had an override on the elevator.
Yeah. Now, that was the last time she was seen alive, right?
Yeah.
Was this video? Oh. Wait for it. Nobody's there.
Orb shows up.
That would have been funny. It's an invisible person. I mean, it is kind of weird that the door did open by itself, though. There was nobody there.
Well, somebody would have to push the button on the outside.
Maybe she pushed the button.
Maybe she was still outside the door or something.
Oh. Opened again.
Isn't that a different room? Or a different floor?
Oh, yeah. It's cycling through the floors.
Yeah, see right there? It's a different color.
Yep.
And then the next time the door opens, it's on a different floor. I think it's going through the floors that she pushed the buttons on.
Yep, that makes more sense. Hold it real quick. I want to see something.
Like pause it?
No. Sorry, just don't exit the video yet.
Yeah, I just seen one of the lights go off on the buttons.
Yeah.
The video's almost over here.
Yeah, no, it's cool. All right, I was just curious if there was any distortion or anything. Anywhere. Yeah, that's so weird. Like her behavior, the way she, yeah, everything. I think the weirdest part to me was the T-Rex arming it. Like,
yeah.
So, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm gonna ask everybody watching. Have you heard of the elevator game? Leave a comment if you have.
I will just say I haven't. I've never heard of it before.
Okay.
Have you heard of it before this?
Whenever I first heard about the story and everything, I looked up what the elevator game is. There's a set of rules that you have to do to play the elevator game.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting, but
kind of.
This is okay. Hang on a second. I mean, I'm trying to pull up the rules so I can tell you guys how to do this. Okay. So here's a requirement for the game. The building has to at least be 10 stories high and equipped with an elevator capable of reaching all 10 stories. All right, so we're kind of split here about the elevator game. Cassie's heard it. And Heather is not. So yeah, building has to be at least 10 stories. Has to have a working elevator that will reach all the floors. You can begin it at any time. So you enter your chosen building and proceed directly to the elevator. You call the elevator using only the up button to do so.
Okay.
If the down button is present, do not touch it.
Okay.
When the doors open, you enter the elevator. You must enter it on the first floor, and you must enter it alone. Do not proceed if anybody else is in the elevator with you. You press the button for the 4th floor. When the elevator reaches the 4th floor, do not get out. Instead, remain in the elevator and press the button for the 2nd floor. When you reach the 2nd floor, do not get out. You remain in the elevator and press the button for the 6th floor. When you reach the 6th floor, again, you do not get out, and you remain in the elevator and you press the button for the 2nd floor. You stay in when it opens up, and you press the button for the 10th floor. At the 10th floor, you do not get out. You press the button for the 5th floor. And this is where it starts getting a little weird. When you reach the 5th floor, a young woman may enter the elevator. Do not look at her. Do not speak to her. She is not what she seems. Do not get out. Instead, you remain in the elevator and press the button for the 1st floor. At this point, one of two things will occur. The elevator will begin to descend to the first floor, or it will begin ascending to the 10th floor. If the elevator descends to the first floor, the ritual has failed. Do not proceed. When the elevator reaches the first floor, exit as soon as the doors open. Do not look back. Do not speak. Exit the building and don't look back.
Why are people messing with witchcraft? Like, why? Why do they think that's a good idea?
No idea.
I mean, to be fair, I guess it might not be witchcraft, but it just said ritual. Yeah. So that tells me that's some sort of crafting. So
if the elevator goes up to the 10th floor, the ritual has succeeded, and you may proceed. Note, though, that if you are having any second thoughts about what you're about to do, if you find that you are losing your nerve, now is your last chance to back out. To cancel the ascension and terminate the ritual at this point, press the button for any floor, and it'll take you there first.
Interesting.
But you must cancel the ascension before the elevator passes the 9th floor in order to terminate the ritual. So when you reach the 10th floor, you may choose to either exit the elevator or remain on board. If you choose to exit, and if the woman entered the elevator on the 5th floor, she may take this opportunity to ask you where you are going. Do not answer her. Do not look at her. Exit the elevator without comment. Now, you look around.
For the woman at all.
Yeah, right. You can look around, but do not lose sight of the elevator in which you arrived. You will, it said, find yourself in another world. And although you may see many things and notice many details, you will know you have arrived in this other world. You will know for certain by one indication, and this one indication only. The only person present in it is you.
Oh.
The return trip is how you return to your own world. It depends on your choices so far. If you did not exit the elevator on the 10th floor, press the button for the first floor. The doors should close and the elevator should begin descending. If it does not, keep pressing the button for the first floor until it does. When the elevator reaches the first floor, exit as soon as the doors open. Do not look back. Do not speak. Leave the building and return home as soon as possible. Which, at one point where she's like pounding buttons, it's like she's trying to cancel the thing.
That's what I was thinking too. When you said like, press all the buttons to cancel your way out. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I can see, but it doesn't explain her weird behavior.
Well, maybe she reached the 10th floor, and maybe she got out of the elevator and experienced this other world. So, if you choose to exit the elevator at the 10th floor, return to your elevator. You must use the same elevator to return as the one in which you arrived. When you enter the elevator, press the button for the 4th floor. You will now proceed to press the buttons and visit floors of the building in the same order you did during steps 6 through 12 of venturing out.
It sounds like way too much. I'd have to have like a book to like keep it all calculated and ready.
That sounds like what she was doing though. Like she was pushing the buttons and she was feeling around like as if she was in another world, or she believed she was in another world. When you reach, it tells you like all the steps. But the elevator will begin ascending to the 10th floor. Wait, this is the canceling thing. Okay. So yeah, there's additional notes. I'm just kind of reading if any of them are really
relevant.
There's different adjustments on the numbers and stuff like that.
Sounds like a game that nobody should be playing.
So regarding this other world, reports concerning both the nature and appearance of the world vary. Some state, for example, that you should choose the exit on the 10th floor, you will see a world that looks almost identical to your own, save for two details. All the lights on the floor will be off, and if you look out the windows, the only thing you'll see is a red cross in the distance. Other reports, however, do not specify that this will necessarily be the case. Additionally, some say that the electronic devices, mobile phones, cameras, recording devices, media players, and all that do not function in the other world. Given the inconsistencies between reports, it is therefore not entirely known what you might expect. So there's a bunch of websites that are devoted to this game, but so like looking at the video, a lot of people have said that that's what she was doing, was playing this elevator game, and her behavior kind of mimics that of the game. But I'm kind of curious as to when this game came around. Was it before or after this video surfaced? Because if it was after, might people just be like using what happened in the video and making up the rules based on the video?
Yeah, maybe. It's quite possible. I feel like that's so wild and out there. Exactly. Thanks, Kelly. So, no, I don't think there's any other video of her going to other floors, at least from what's been released. I think the only thing that they had like released to the public was just her weird behavior, right? I don't think we really see her before that.
I don't think there's her video of her going to the other floors because that elevator door never closed while she was involved with the elevator. And I do remember, like, on the police, the one that was released by the police, the video, there was a time jump on the timestamp, the video timestamp.
Really?
Like, there was a time jump on it. So let's go into a little bit more about the case here. So although the coroner's office ruled her death as an accidental drowning, okay, wait a minute, hang on, where is it at? Let's go back to the vanishing. So January 26th, she came by train from San Diego. She was on a trip that was supposed to be a getaway from her studies at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. Her family had been wary of her traveling by herself, but she was determined. But she did check in and stay with some friends, and they did move her because of the excessive noise that they were making. On the 31st, she was scheduled to check out of her hotel. The Lambs eventually contacted the police department. Police searched the premises of the hotel, couldn't find her. And then police soon released surveillance footage, which we just watched, taken from the cameras at the Cecil Hotel on their website. This is where everything took the turn to the bizarre. So the hotel video showed her in one of the elevators that we just watched. The whole video, she seemed to be making random gestures. Her behavior, like we said, at the beginning of the video, she hops in, so she's kind of playful there. And then she hops out, peeking around the corners, and then she starts hiding.
Right? Like, what?
And then she starts venturing out, and then she starts, like, doing this, her hand gestures. And, of course, nobody else was captured on the video except for her.
Mm-hmm.
The discovery of her body was because of the nastiness of the water.
Yeah.
There was low water pressure, the weird taste coming out of the tap water. So according to a statement, I guess this is according to a statement by the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, the tank in which Lamb's body was found had to be drained completely and then cut open from the side in order to remove her 5'4" frame. And nobody knows how her corpse ended up in the tank or how her clothes were taken off. They weren't cut off. They weren't ripped off. They appear to have been removed. They don't know how she had gotten in the tank because the lid was so heavy. That's why they had to cut the tank open, because the lid was super heavy. Mm-hmm. And her being as small as she is, could not lift that lid
No.
to get in, could not lift it to shut it once she was inside, because it's a 10-foot tank, right? It's
Right.
10 foot deep. She's only 5'4". She's not going to sit there and swim and keep afloat and close this heavy ass lid.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's
no way.
So, and hotel staff told authorities that Lam was always seen by herself around the hotel premises.
I feel like probably after that she had to get moved up into a new room, because were they just being too loud, being too obnoxious?
I think so. I mean, they're college students.
Yeah, that's fair. No, this whole case is it's weird. It doesn't really make any sense. She just go. I mean, it could have been, maybe.
So I was wrong about the autopsy report.
Oh, okay.
The toxicology report did confirm that Lam had consumed a number of medical drugs, but it was likely to be medication for her bipolar disorder.
Oh, okay.
But there were no indications of alcohol or illegal substances in her body.
I don't see it as a suicide. It's with the thing being so heavy.
Yeah.
I just don't that's really hard to see, unless for some stinking reason it was open already and she crawled inside and then oops, the latch closed. Now I can't open it and you're dead.
Right.
But yeah, maybe she did speak to the women. Who knows?
Maybe
She messed
she
it
screwed up.
Yeah,
and that's why she weirded out. So there was some issues apparently with the autopsy report. So there was her toxicology report was posted online by a Reddit user with an interest in medicine, and this person broke down and pointed out 3 key observations about her toxicology report. Number 1, Lam took at least 1 antidepressant that day. Number 2, Lam had taken her second antidepressant and mood stabilizer recently, but not that day. And 3, Lam had not taken her antipsychotic recently. These conclusions suggested that Lam, who had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, may have not been taking her medications properly.
Could have caused hallucinogenic states.
It's an important finding to note, given that the use of antidepressants to treat bipolar disorder can risk inducing manic side effects if done without caution. Some people latched onto this detail and suggested it was a likely explanation for her strange behavior in the elevator.
Yeah.
Now, the hotel manager, Amy Price, her statements in court strongly supported this theory. During her stay at the hotel, Price said that Lam was originally booked in a hotel-style shared room with others. However, complaints of her odd behavior from her roommates forced Lam to be moved to a room by herself.
Okay, so that makes more sense. Maybe she was put on not necessarily a new medication, but maybe she was taking it wrong with something, or maybe she was drinking and it missed with her medication and she just became weird.
Well, all of this is, all good and everything like that. It's all informative details. But here's the one thing that it boils down to. It does not explain her death.
Let's say it doesn't explain how she got in the tank.
Yeah.
There's no way she would have been able to lift that up. There's no way.
The autopsy report did not show any foul play from the evidence that was processed. But the coroner's office noted that they were unable to do a full examination because they could not examine the blood from Lam's decomposing body.
Huh. Okay.
So when we look at who's responsible for her death, her family filed a wrongful death suit against Cecil Hotel. The hotel fought back against the suit, filing a motion to dismiss it. The hotel's lawyer argued that the hotel had no reason to think that someone would be able to get into one of their water tanks, which...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way I can think of is maybe someone was doing like a routine check and then like left it open or something, and then she found her way up there and then fell in, and then it closed in on itself or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so based on court statements from the hotel's maintenance staff, the hotel's argument is not entirely far-fetched. Santiago Lopez, who was the first to find Lam's body, described in detail how much effort he had to exert just to find her body.
Yeah.
So if Lam did this to herself, this is the extent that she would have had to have gone through. And she wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. But Lopez said that he took the elevator to the 15th floor of the hotel before walking up the staircase to the roof. Then he had to first turn off the rooftop alarm and climb up onto the platform where the hotel's 4 water tanks were located. So there's an alarm. She somehow managed to get up on the roof without setting off the alarm. She had to climb up onto the platform where the water tanks were. And then he had to climb another ladder to get to the top of the main tank. Only after all that did he notice, something was unusual. He noticed that the hatch to the main water tank was open and looked inside and saw an Asian woman lying face up in the water approximately 12 inches from the top of the water tank. Lopez
the water tank was open?
It was slightly open. And she was floating 12 inches from the top. So she couldn't have been touching the bottom and moved the lid.
Right.
No. He even testified that it would have been difficult for Lam to make it to the top of the water tank on her own, at least not without anyone noticing. The hotel's chief engineer also made it clear that it would be difficult for anyone to access the rooftop where the hotel tanks were without triggering the alarms.
Well, only something else.
Yeah, only hotel employees would be able to deactivate the alarm properly. If it was triggered, the sound of the alarm would reach the front desk as well as the entire top 2 floors of the hotel.
Here's a theory. What if it was an accident? Not necessarily her killing herself accident, but what if she was spending time with somebody and, well, I guess that wouldn't work because then he could have pulled her probably out unless she didn't know how to swim and she drowned herself. But even then, I don't really know so what I was thinking is you'd have to have somebody disable the alarm. That's the number one thing.
That's the first thing.
You have to have somebody to disable the alarm. Second, you're going to have to lift the dang lid off somehow. It's not normally like that.
You have to put it back too.
And I don't think she could have lifted it up, right? Like they said that there's no way she would have been able to lift it up.
Yeah, these are large lids. They're not small by any means.
Yeah, that's how you get a picture of it for people.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Like, I don't see how a random person could just find their way onto the roof and then into a tank for suicide. They would have had to disable the alarm.
Well, I guess the tanks aren't like the full circumference. So looking at this again, they're a little square. They're like a square, but they've been noted as being heavy. But those are deep tanks, though.
You screen sharing it?
I will here in a second.
Okay. Yeah, they're deep tanks. They're you can't touch the bottom when you're in the dang thing. So she'd have to she'd be basically essentially pushing herself okay, with the lid being partially open, that's where I have an issue. But even then, if it's as heavy as it is and it was partially open, she'd be pushing herself down into the water.
Yeah, because just looking at the size of these tanks, let me load up these images here.
Yeah. Do your thing.
All right.
I would screen share it straight from our screen share option. There it is. Yeah. So
there's an opening to the tank. This is actually from when they found her body and stuff. And like I said, it's a square. Unless it's like a manhole, like manholes are about 200 pounds. People don't realize that.
Well, I mean, it's round. The
manhole cover
insert. Yeah, I would say is square. Well, okay, you can see the lid on another one.
Yeah.
Right? or on the other ones, I guess you could say. So it's not necessarily a big square. Like that's a pretty small opening.
But and like I said, they were reportedly rather heavy, and like I said, like manhole covers on the streets, those things can weigh up to 200 pounds. So I mean, even a square that big can weigh more than she did, obviously.
Yeah.
But this photo right here kind of tells you how deep those things get.
They're deep.
She wouldn't have touched the bottom on that.
No. Nope.
Especially if she was only 12 inches from the top.
And I don't know. I don't know how much air would be in the dang thing either. Like how much room for air.
Yeah.
She probably. It kind of, to me, that rules out that somebody killed her beforehand and then put her in there, because there was no struggle, there was no like signs of, not necessarily mutilation, but there was no signs of injury on the body. So that rules that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say maybe it couldn't be an accident, but it was partially open. Interesting. Maybe she was like, she got in there somehow and then she was trying to like bang it open and it like just partially popped it off. Because it's probably dark in there, right? So you have no way of telling almost where the circle is until you randomly start hitting. And when you do that, you're going to run out of energy really fast.
Yeah.
And you're not going to tell where it's at. So
a lot of people, they see the video, they think she was possibly playing the elevator game. Some people say that she was on drugs. Some people said that it was a lack of her drugs. That she was having a breakdown, basically. Mental instability. So I'm going to present something that I shared with you a while back, about a week ago, after we decided to do this.
Yeah.
So on my old show, years and years ago, I'd come across this YouTube video, and this guy was talking about the mysteries of this case, and one of the things that he pointed out was interesting, that I found interesting, included Google Earth.
Sorry, Kelly, she was nude.
Yeah.
She had, her clothes were in the bottom of the tank.
So the video, when I watched it, it was about 7 years ago that I watched the video. The video at the time that I watched it was, I think, 5 or 8 years old, somewhere around there. So the video had been on there for a while, and I tried to find the video, cannot find the video anymore.
Of course.
So one of the interesting things that this person pointed out, I guess they did some research into it. When she was at school, she was actually doing a paper on like the Department of Defense and some of the new things that they were developing. And one of the things that she was particularly interested in was the development of cloaking devices, which kind of makes sense in an aspect, like as far as the subject matter, because around this time that she would have been going to school, I know that several colleges had already developed ways to bend light around objects. UCLA was one of them. And there had already been videos surfacing of military use in battle. I should find that video too. There's an old video of like this tank rolling down the street, and you see like the show on the movie Predator when it's like cloaked. Yeah. You see this form that looked like that run into the picture. Whoa. and jump up. This guy just appears out of nowhere, like not out of nowhere. It's that form. That form turns into this guy where you can see him, and he jumps up and lays down on top of this tank.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So supposedly she had been doing a paper on cloaking.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it makes sense why she acted so weird on the elevator.
I was going to. So this guy presented also that he had done some like looking on Google Earth, and again, his video is at this time is probably 12 years old to 14 years old. So on his video, he went on Google Earth and he did the zoom in on the Cecil Hotel. And when you do stuff like that, or did stuff like that, they would show you information about businesses and stuff like that that are located wherever. They would point those out.
Yeah.
Well, on the Cecil Hotel, there was a little pin that was on there, and it said that it was like some technology company. And when he did research on this technology company, their specialty was developing cloaking devices and had contracts with the Department of Defense. And they were supposedly running their operation at the Cecil Hotel at that time.
And what if they thought that she was a spy?
If she was doing research and she was digging deep into something of that nature, and she was there at the Cecil Hotel doing research, it makes sense again to why this video where she's looking around and hiding from somebody. What if these people are using cloaking devices to go and silence her? And at the point where she's out there and she's feeling around and everything, if she could hear them around her but she can't see them, she would probably be feeling. Yeah, she would probably be feeling around like, is there somebody near me, or things of that nature. And we don't see anybody in the footage.
Yeah, we don't hear any audio, so we can't really tell if there's anything being said.
And there's a time jump on the police video.
Yep.
That was released. So
she's like, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah. So if they were like coming after her because they knew and she was trying to escape, now the elevator not working,
yeah,
that would have been an override. Somebody had to override the system to keep that elevator from working. And it doesn't start working.
Out, it starts, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this part right here, she starts doing like this with her hands, like she's talking, like,
and feeling around.
Now she's feeling around.
Like if somebody's there. It's like you would do if you're in the dark and like try to feel for somebody or something.
Yeah. In the doorway.
Maybe
you
she's
see what I'm
talking.
Saying, though?
Maybe she's talking to somebody, like what she's doing or why she's doing something. Maybe she's pleading with somebody. Maybe.
Yeah.
But again, we don't see anybody. We don't see reflections.
We don't see left or right, so we can't tell if there's anybody in the doorways. Or sorry, not out of the doorways.
So if this whole defense thing, this cloaking and everything is true, it does kind of make sense with the video and all that. But again, the original video that I had seen that described all this, I can't find it anywhere.
Of course. YouTube removed it.
Probably. So what do you guys think? We're going to pose that question to you.
Yeah.
Did Elisa Lam, was her death her own doing, or did somebody take her life?
I mean, it could have been her own doing.
Well, I mean, it could have been both, but did she kill herself, or did somebody else do this?
I don't think she killed herself. Me personally, just because of the door. Mainly the door. Yeah, the inconsistencies, but mainly the alarm on the door. And if it was some sort of agency, that alarm could have been disengaged.
If they had the power to disable that elevator, they had the power to shut off the alarms.
So she could have found her way up there, and then somebody was like, oh, into the tank you go.
Yep. Nobody will find you here for a while.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to get rid of some evidence, too. Like, like fingerprints something.
Tank the evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Kelly. I think she, and Heather, I think she met her foul play. Or she was met with foul play. Can't talk. But it also, why was she naked? Like, maybe she was like, I'm going to go for a dip, but not really. Like, that doesn't make any sense. What did they think was going to happen to the clothes? They were right there. But I guess they're not going to find her for a while. Might as well put her clothes here because, I mean, you wouldn't put them in the trash. You wouldn't throw them off the building. You wouldn't have them on the building except for exactly where her body's going to be. So it'd be a great place to dispose of the body.
Yeah. Fingerprints would not be on her.
Yep. Funny enough.
Any fibers or anything that might have been on the clothes could get trapped in the filter, or could, could just be inconclusive evidence.
Yeah, this hotel is a very weird, interesting place. It's got some crazy history. Like,
now, I'm sure we all know Ghost Adventures went there and investigated.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, number one, that they got the whole place to themselves. The hotel's closed. Last I heard, it was closed down for renovations.
Did they go to the roof at all? Were they able to go to the roof?
I think so.
Okay, I couldn't remember. The hotel did change its name too.
Did it?
It's no longer called the Cecil Hotel. It's actually called Stay on Main. Yeah, they try to change it to obviously get away from the creepiness. Exactly. So there's 4 key locations, 4 key floors on the hotel, 4 key locations on the hotel that is the most haunted, apparently. So you have floor 14. It was the last known place Elisa Lam was seen alive. And then floor 14 was also where Richard Ramirez stayed. Oh, you know what I just thought of? What if Ramirez was doing like crazy
seances and rituals?
But not just that. What if these crazy seances and rituals, like, let's just say they were actually not done, but they were helped along with by the invisible people?
What are you referring to?
Well, the
company or the
technology company. Yeah, if it's the same floor as where she stayed,
they would have been 2 different time frames.
Not true, but we don't know how long they were working on cloaking devices. Could have been a long time, Dave.
I don't know.
I'm just saying Roswell was plenty of years before that.
Or perhaps the whole possession theory could be accurate, and people that are possessed supposedly have superhuman strength.
Well, and I mean, okay, so that was the last place. I was gonna say that was the last place that she stayed, or she was alive. And
if Ramirez was a Satanist and performed rituals and stuff, so maybe he conjured something there at the hotel and it's still there.
Yeah, and then so the 9th floor is where Pauline Otto jumped from her hotel room window, and then the 7th floor is where Goldie Osgood unsolved murder took place before Richard Ramirez's stay. So maybe the murder / suicide in the hotel gave Ramirez inspiration to do Satanist seances and stuff like that, like evil things, and it only amplified it even more.
Maybe all these suicides and deaths there that could create like a dark energy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And not just by Ramirez, but I mean, like even before then.
And then
the Great Depression, being so close to Skid Row. Being so close to Skid Row, having the Great Depression there, right before all that was at the time when the suicides and stuff started happening.
Yeah, that's usually my general reaction to Ghost Adventures anymore. I like their earlier stuff, but then the more the seasons went on, they just changed. I didn't like it as much, but yeah, they weighed her down.
That's, if she had air in her lungs, she would not be weighed down.
I was gonna say, in that part, it wouldn't matter. Plus, we don't know. So we don't know how much water was in the tank. The tank could have been empty for all we know, and she couldn't get to the top.
And then it filled up.
The water filled up, and then we don't know. She could have honestly died from lack of food, lack of water.
And then it was empty. I mean, but it would have refilled, I'm sure.
It would have refilled, but we don't know the cycles of the water tanks. We don't know how often they're emptied or filled up. And
when he's saying that, it's like we don't know.
Yeah, we don't. We have no idea.
The investigators probably know, but
the guys, well, if they do, you'd think they put that in the report.
Yeah. Now, if she removed her clothes, I mean, if the clothes weighed her down, if she was murdered, that would be helpful to drowning.
Yeah.
But she wasn't drowned, apparently. There was no foul play suspected. I think there was no foul play suspected is what they said. Not that she didn't drown, but
I was going to say.
They said no foul play suspected. Yeah. But if she wasn't trying to kill herself, I mean,
obviously there was still water found in her system, so technically she could have drowned.
Yeah. She wasn't in her right mind all of the time either. No, and that's true.
It's so true.
But I mean, even somebody that has a manic episode, I'm not familiar too much with manic episodes. I don't know how that would cause them to just kind of take off their clothes and
not to mention turn off the security system.
Yeah, to turn off the alarm, go up on the roof and put themselves in a water tank.
Also, why is there no video of her on that floor?
Why is there no video? Yeah, why is there no video of her on the staircase going to the roof?
Yeah.
You would think they'd have a camera for the rooftop access. I
mean, it's possible that they didn't, but that could also be evidence they didn't want to release because, they don't necessarily release all the evidence.
Yeah, especially if it's damaging to something. Conspiracy? Maybe.
We don't know. This hotel is shrouded in so much mystery.
Yep. Which is why I want to go and investigate it. Damn it.
It'd be pretty stellar. That'd probably be the only reason why I go out to California, but
yeah, they give you like a week and you get the whole hotel to yourself. That would be insane.
You would have to literally pay probably $5,000 to do that.
Probably more.
Yeah, that's what's at least. Yeah.
Especially if they're trying to get away from that stigma of being a negative place.
Oh, yeah, they probably wouldn't like that anymore if we were like, hey, we want to stay there for an investigation.
We want to stay here for an entire week all by ourselves. We want the whole hotel.
Yeah, we want to rent the whole hotel by ourselves.
$1 million.
You know where I'd really love to do that at?
Crescent Hotel.
Oh, 100%. I would love to have the Crescent Hotel all to myself for an entire week.
Right.
That would be amazing. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
I don't I can't believe that it was just her. I really think there was foul play in something. There's
in some form of fashion.
Too many inconsistencies and things that didn't get explained, and yeah.
The demons got her.
Yeah.
I was wondering if the stairway went to the roof out of any certain camera range. It was an emergency exit, so I would assume they would have a camera on that exit area.
Well, you could be wrong.
I mean, whenever they set up a lot of security systems at businesses,
yeah,
oftentimes all the exits have to be covered just in case somebody tries to break in.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so could there have been any there wouldn't have been any outside staircase access to the building, right?
No, Lori.
Why would we be tired of you?
Outside stair access the only thing I could think of would be fire escapes, but I wouldn't think they'd go to the roof.
I wouldn't either.
Maybe there would be an emergency ladder that comes down, but you would have to probably be from the rooftop to access it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a very good point. But man, like I said, one of those cases. It's weird.
There's been a lot of people that have put forth extremely tantalizing theories that help explain it in a logical, scientific kind of way.
Yeah.
There's been documentaries out about this, probably countless documentaries. A lot of people have done some research, some awesome research. But there's some out there that are shady, so you kind of have to pick and choose and go with what you feel like is the best information, really, and then do your own research. But in all in all, this case is the Elisa Lam case and the Cecil Hotel, shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
Going to fascinate people for years to come. So,
yep. Well, I mean, they made the TV show about it, so.
Yep. Well, guys,
you want to talk about what we're going to try to do next week? You want to keep that a secret?
What we're going to try to do next week?
I don't know. Usually we figure out what we're going to do for the next show.
Oh, I mean, we can do that real quick.
Okay.
Let me pull up.
I say before we head out of here, it'd probably be a good thing, right?
give them something to
Yeah.
want to come back to later. Find this list here.
Good times.
Good time.
If there's any, like, I'm curious for people in the chat too, if there's any hotels that you think are surrounded with some mystery or like the Cecil Hotel with craziness. What is your suggestions? What do you think about other mysterious hotels? I did go through an article that had mentioned the Black Widow, and I kind of just grazed over it, but that is something I definitely want to look into. Black Widow and the what was it? The Man Ray or Ray Man or something like that. What?
How about, let's see. I was thinking of doing something alien.
All right, let's do it. I mean, we
could talk about alien encounters.
Yeah. There was something I came across about an Israeli scientist coming forward and saying that a galactic space federation already exists, and they're just waiting for us to catch up to join. So I was like, that'd be kind of interesting to talk about, right? Yeah. With all the latest UFO stuff that's come out in the mainstream media and how mainstream UFOs are now. That is a good one. Actually, we did talk about the Stanley Hotel. We've done on one of our older episodes.
No, the Shanley.
Oh, geez, I read that wrong. Writing is small. Sorry. The Shanley Hotel. No, we haven't.
So people don't think you're crazy.
Nope. I mean, that's already a given.
Yeah, right. I'd be cool with doing. I kind of want to do alien encounters.
Okay.
We could talk about the different encounter levels and talk about some actual stories and occurrences.
Yeah, I mean, I know we covered a little bit about that already, but I'm totally down to do more of it. I'm always down to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, because
I would love to talk about Alaska. Alaska has a lot of crazy UFO stuff.
Yes, they do. Which gives me an idea, and I will discuss it with you after the show.
Dun dun dun!
Surprise!
All right,
all right, guys. We hope you enjoyed the show. We've gone well past our welcome, but we enjoyed the topic. We enjoyed sharing it with you guys, and I'm glad you guys got to stay here and watch it with us. If anybody has suggestions for future shows, throw them in the comments. If you're watching on Facebook, we did this one kind of a one-time hit here. So if you want to see future episodes or even some of our past episodes, jump over to our YouTube channel, which is Boogeyman Radio. Subscribe. Check out some of our old episodes. You might enjoy some of those. We have some really good ones. And turn on the bell for notifications, because who knows, maybe we ought to do one of these. We do them all live.
We do them all live.
Yeah, so
unless there's something that comes up and we have to do a recording, but usually we tend to do it live.
But do turn on the notifications so you get the updates about the lives.
I'm gonna try to comment in the comment section of our video and post the link.
Okay.
If Facebook doesn't hate me.
Right. Facebook's gonna be like, that's spam.
And it's so hard. When I post on our page, barely anybody sees it.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
All right. Oh,
you got it in there?
Yep, we're good. No, it won't let me, so I'll just post it after.
Okay.
Of course, because Facebook hates me.
That's Facebook.
Right.
All right, guys. Hope you all have a good night.
Have a good night.
And we'll talk to you later.